Democratic-leaning independent. The other is a Republican. First on Fox, Senators Joe Lieberman and Tom Coburn. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Neil.
You must be doing something right, because both sides are tiptoeing around you. And in the case of Nancy Pelosi criticizing this, I do want to get your reaction first, Senator Lieberman, to what Nancy Pelosi had to say, that it is unfair to ask seniors to get less in benefits and wait longer to get into Medicare. This proposal is unacceptable, especially for struggling middle-class Americans. What do you think?
Yeah, well, you know, Tom and I expected that people would be critical, because it's easy politically to be critical, but we think it's time to tell the truth to seniors and every other American, which is, in the case of Medicare, for instance, the result, if you don't do anything to it, is not that it goes on happily forever. It goes bankrupt pretty soon. And then everybody loses the kind of coverage that almost 50 million Americans depend on. So we're saying, let's start now, take some methodical steps forward that will preserve this program as a government program. Ask people to pay more, but ask wealthier people to pay the most more, so we can save Medicare. I know it takes a little explanation, and it's not the easiest political shot, but it's clearly what's in the best interest not only of the seniors, but of our country, because it'll help us cut the debt.
Senator Coburn, the one distinction I think I'm able to draw from this plan versus, let's say, Paul Ryan's plan, is that it would keep Medicare. In other words, his would move us toward a private alternative completely and away from Medicare. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I think that's true. Let me comment on also the former speaker's comments. If in fact you want to fix things, you got to have a plan. And she hadn't put out what she would like to see done. And the option of not putting anything out there, not doing anything, is, as Joe said, in 2016, under the scenario that we have today, the hospital trust fund won't be there anymore. So there's not going to be hospital payments in just probably 5 years. That's their worst case scenario. It's going to get worse over the next few years. Look, there's a lot of ways to fix Medicare, but what we have to do is come together, both sides of the aisle, and here's what can we agree on that will actually save Medicare and that will continue to allow access for our seniors and give them the kind of quality care that they expect and deserve.
You know, I admire anyone who even touches this third rail. I mean, you get quickly electrocuted, but you touch it. But I'm wondering if it serves as a sort of a disincentive for some of your colleagues. Then they see what you have to go through. They saw what Paul Ryan went through, and they just say, the heck with it. Don't even bother.
Well, I hope not. I mean, look, part of what Tom and I are saying is we disagree on a lot of issues, but we agree on the fact that unless people like Tom Coburn and me get together, our country's going over a fiscal cliff, and that's going to be terrible for our kids and grandkids and everybody else's kids and grandkids. The second thing is, I think we've shown that these are some things you can do to really save Medicare and cut the debt. And unless we do something like this, hopefully as part of the debt ceiling increase, the capital markets, the American people are not going to regain their confidence in our future. So I think this is the best kind of thing we can do for our economy.
Present Medicare beneficiaries and patients are immediately hearing this, gentlemen, and Senator Coburn, I'll address this to you, and that they're in danger with this plan. Does it phase in? Is there an age kick-in at which this would move? What?
Well, the age adjustments on it increase 2 months every year. So somebody like me as a baby boomer, somebody born a year after me, would be eligible at 65 years and 2 months. Somebody born in 1950 be eligible 65 years and 4 months. So it phases in very slowly. But what we know we have to do is we have to, one, make sure that Medicare patients are going to have access. Number two, make sure that there is a Medicare program. Neil, I would put forward to all the Medicare patients listening, anybody that tells you Medicare is going to be the same 5 years from now is lying to you. We cannot borrow enough money to fund the hospital trust fund unless we start making changes now. And so the option is not what we're offering, which does have some discomfort with it. The option is a bankrupt system or vastly worse choices 2 years from now, 3 years from now, as this problem gets worse.
If you don't mind, gentlemen, switching gears, we're getting late word from the Senate Democratic leadership that it's kicking around the idea of working through the July 4th recess. Senator Lieberman, do you know anything about that? Are you open to that? There does seem to be some irony. Republicans are charging of this because they never, the Democrats never submitted a budget to begin with last year, which could explain in large part why there is this all-night rush now. But what do you think, and is that likely?
Well, I've heard those rumors. Actually, I'm going right from here to a Senate Democratic caucus, so maybe we'll hear something
Oh, so
more
they
specific.
still invite you to those?
Yeah, they do.
Good.
They do. But I sit in the back of the room. But,
Well, let me answer your question specifically. We have a very brave senator on the Republican side, Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, who has said we will not go home. The Republicans have surrounded him and said, you're right, we shouldn't be going home. We should sit here and debate the real issue, not the non-issues like what we have on the floor today, but the real issues that will address the problems in front of this country. And to think that we can go take a week off in the face of a magnitude of uncertainty where there's not been leadership expressed by the president on this, there hadn't been the hard work to come together to get a deal, he's absolutely right, and I can tell you, we're not going home. We're going to stay here and work, and so are the Democrats. And it's going to be our choice to stay here.
Neil, I just add this. I'm ready to stay. The question is, what are we going to do? Are we going to do something that's meaningful? Because right now, there's a great frustration in the Senate among Republicans and Democrats that most of us are left out of these discussions. First, they were Vice President Biden and three members of each house. And now they've gone up to the president, Speaker Boehner, Harry Reid. So what are we going to do? And I think maybe what you're seeing here is a response to a kind of grassroots uprising of senators that want to be part of finding a solution.
Well, guys, I always commend your effort. We can argue the details, but no doubting the effort. Senator Lieberman, Senator Coburn, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Good to be with you, Neil.
Meanwhile, do you want to slash gas prices by 10% overnight? Well, don't ask Washington, ask Walmart. And sure, Michelle's a hit.